So, this is part two of the Did Rome Create the Bible? Did the Freemasons Create the Bible series? So we left off where Constantine had established the church and he learned to identify Gnosticism. And if you read his writings, he was intent on rooting it out, because Gnosticism was the old system of the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. Okay, so the entire point of Christianity was to fight back against this system, because it was a system of hierarchy. That's how the emperors and such justified themselves as God kings. Okay, infallible God kings, Pontifex Maximus. And so I want you to just think for a second. America is, creeping up on its, it's only about 250 years old. And so just think about all that has changed since 1776, and, when we were officially a country in 1789, and all the way up until now. I mean, it's like a whole different world. People have turned our Constitution on its head and completely, undermined it and make claims that are completely untrue about what the Constitution says and all the amendments and so on. Well, the same exact process happened to the early church. After the Council of Nicaea, they rooted out Gnosticism, and about 50 years later was when the Bible was officially canonized. And at that point, the original bishops who, helped found the church were still the people who had lived under Diocletian. There's a million ways probably to pronounce that name, but they were persecuted, so they were martyred. These people had fought for, their true faith, and had a keen vested interest in making sure it remained pure. So there's this idea of orthodoxy versus heresy. And over time, that began to change, because Gnosticism still prevailed in the shadows. It went underground, and many people would practice Gnosticism in secret, such as Origen, a famous church father, and Clement of Alexandria. These people, Origen claimed to castrate himself. Remember what we talked about with the pine cone, because of Christ's teachings on eunuchs. And he conflated the Christ's teachings and misrepresented them to justify his castration. But really, the cults of Dionysus had a practice of castrating themselves and offering up their testes to the mother goddess. And Origen had an alter ego, Origen the pagan. Okay, and many people accused and suspected that, yes, he was part of the cult of Dionysus. And so eventually these Gnostic teachings started to take deep root in the church, and especially in Rome. The Bishop of Rome became highly compromised, and throughout the wars and the battles of the imperial legions and the anarchy in the kingdom that slowly took root again after Constantine united the Roman Empire and moved the capital to Constantinople. Eventually these people became highly compromised with Gnosticism. And so as Emperor Justinian, who was a Gnostic, decided to relinquish all religious authority to the Bishop of Rome in 538. And the Roman Church encoded many facets of Gnosticism into the church. For instance, they deified Mary as an eternal perfect virgin, which was their representation of Sophia, the mother goddess, or Isis, or Inanna, or Diana. She has many, many names. Durga. And this was all symbolic. So to the outside, people were taught, that Mary was the mother of God, perfect virgin, and all this kind of stuff. But on the inner circle, they recognized her as the mother goddess. And the celibate priesthood of the Roman Church practiced celibacy as a sort of substitute or symbol of the cults of Dionysus, who remove their sexual organs and offer them up to the goddess. And there are many, many other symbols. Sol Invictus, you see it everywhere in the Pope's vestments and his staffs, the sun worship, the it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. The obelisk in the middle of the Vatican. When you learn to identify it, you see it everywhere. So these church fathers continued to practice Gnosticism. And all these secret societies, the royal societies, the Freemasons, the people who practice Kabbalah. Kabbalah eventually became encoded into a Vatican-sponsored organization called the Jesuits. Ignatius of Loyola was a Kabbalist who lived in a cave for 10 months and started talking to a serpent with 1,000 eyes, and that serpent gave him the truths of the spiritual meditations, which were the initiation rituals for the Jesuits. It's brainwashing. And so there's just so much symbolism there. And after the Reformation and the printing press, the Jesuits basically set out to completely undermine the Bible in every way possible. Now, a lot of people have heard the Bible was illegal for over 1,000 years, beginning in 538, when the Gnostic underground fully took root in the Roman Church. They completely banned and outlawed the Bible because they realized that the Bible completely went against everything they were teaching the public. Okay, so they killed millions and millions of people simply for reading or translating the Bible outside of Latin. So if the Roman Church or the Freemasons created the Bible to control people, why did they kill everybody they could find that had one or tried to read it? That's a good question. And really, this all boils down to our understanding of prophecy. Okay, after the printing press and the Bible went viral, we see the Jesuit priesthood and this agency of the Catholic Church set out to undermine both Genesis and Daniel and Revelation in the Bible. Okay, and because they understood something that all the reformers, the people who died, like Tyndale, just to get the Bible in the hands of the people, all the reformers unanimously agreed that the little horn that rose out of the beasts representing Rome and Daniel was the Catholic Church. I mean, what other organization or institution arose from the fall of the Roman Empire to take control of the world again and control everything? Well, there's only one answer to that, and that was the little horn that came out of the beast. And they recognized that the seven-headed beast of Revelation represented the Roman Church too, the harlot representing a prostitute church that turned away from the true faith and compromised Christianity, and literally took the place of Christ. The popes took the names of the Roman emperors, Pontifex Maximus, and claimed to be Christ Vicar, Christ reincarnated on earth, and claimed infallibility and claimed that they could forgive your sin. Okay, this is a very deep form of blasphemy. Okay, only Christ can forgive sin, but yet these people were taking his place in the place of Christ. And the Roman Church knew this. The Jesuits knew this. So they created other schools of thought regarding prophecy in order to confound the way people read the Bible. Like Francisco Ribera created something called futurism, which over 90% of churches teach today, and Louis de Alcazar created preterism, which is basically everything in Revelation, like the Roman Antichrist, happened in the past with Antiochus or Nero or something of that nature. And so most churches all teach the two Jesuit forms of thought regarding the prophecies in Daniel and Revelation, when in actuality these books were pointing and screaming at this world power, the Roman Church, as the most evil institution on earth, the literal beast. And it evolved in many different ways. And as you read Daniel and Revelation from this perspective, there's no question as to who the evil power really is. And that's why they made the Bible illegal for over 1,000 years. And that's why today they're trying to create the propaganda that it was originally the Romans and Freemasons that wrote the Bible, when really it was their worst nightmare. So they want people to believe those false interpretations to shield themselves from the truth of who the beast really was. Thank you.